Welcome, everybody, to the City of Farmers Branch study session for Tuesday, September 17th, 4:04 right now. We're actually going to move this meeting downstairs to the council chamber because of the technical difficulties. So if everybody would just take 5 minutes and let's go downstairs and resume from there. Welcome back, everybody. Our first order of business this afternoon is item C1, discuss regular agenda items. I'll start on my left. Councilman Baird?
Nothing.
Councilman Reed?
Nothing for me.
Councilman Roman?
Nothing from me.
Councilman Jackson?
Yeah, Mayor, I do have one question. This is on the consent agenda regarding item J5, the services agreements for planning services with Kyra McCardle. What is our, well, first of all, this is a $125 per hour consulting contract with a maximum of $75,000 billable for the 1-year period, correct?
Councilmember Jackson Perla Tavera, Deputy Director of Economic Development, Tourism and Planning. That is correct. It's up to $75,125 an hour.
Okay, thank you, Perla. And how much are we, have we been invoiced year to date? Is this the same amount as the last contract?
This is the same amount as the last fiscal contract, correct?
Okay, so no increase. And what are our year-to-date invoices, do you know?
I do not have that off the top of my head, but I can probably get that
Okay.
shortly. Maybe 2 minutes.
Okay. Any concern with that being enough, too much? I'm just trying to understand sort of what the, are we using all of that $75,000 annually? Or are we falling short? Are we pushing over?
As of right now, I will say that we are having her do some case studies. We usually have her do more of long-term vision goals, but she has been, since we are short on staff. We still aren't up to that 75,000, but like I said, let me get the exact number of what we are year to date.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank
Councilman Neal?
Yeah, on that same issue or same topic, I have a question or two. Can everybody hear me okay? I guess that's
Yes.
the first thing. Just wondering, I noticed in the notes, this is for an optional 2-year extensions on top of this. Would that be like a total of 3 years? Is that the request?
Councilmember Neal, again, Perla Tavera, Deputy Director of Economic Development, Tourism and Planning. That is correct. It is a 3-year contract, and it can be terminated either by ourselves or by the contractor, yes.
Okay, and you mentioned you had her doing some case studies. Do you know or aware of any other projects that are upcoming that you need the assistance with? And is that going to be a sufficient amount, much like Councilman Jackson mentioned, or we're going to fall short, or?
So as stated, this is just recent because we just are, we're down one planner for about 2 months, but she usually is just in charge of the long-range goals, including the I-35 corridor and the subdivision ordinances. So this is more of a long-term. We don't see it going over 75,000, hence we put that cap. So what we do have, and this will be my pitch for everybody to go online on the City of Farmers Branch, we are looking for a planner.
Okay, and once you find this new planner, will you still have the need for the consulting services in addition to that? And I'm just trying to get an understanding of the projects that the person would be engaged on.
Yep, so she's still in charge of the long-term goals. So the planners are in charge of the current projects that are coming in, such as signage, such as landscaping, anything that has to do an amendment or a special use permit or zoning ordinance. Those are still coming in as needed. So her service for the long-term goals will still be needed. We still need the I-35 corridor in accordance with the comprehensive ordinance plan that was approved by council. So those will still be needed whether we get our planner or not. Planners for current cases, this contract is for long-term goals.
And I understand she works remotely from some distant town. Can you share that with us? Where she communicate with us
Yes.
from? And are there any issues surrounding that, or?
Correct. So she currently does work remotely. She was a City of Farmers Branch, Dallas resident, and then her husband's work took her elsewhere. So she does work remotely. It's nowhere that's not within our office hours because she still answers our emails within the business day, less than 24 hours. And we do have meetings with her from 5 to 6 since our work hours from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we still actually have team meetings within normal business hours.
Okay. But is she still in the central time zone, or do you know?
No, she would be in an international time zone.
Oh, international, okay, kind of far, okay. Okay. Okay, that's all I have for, at the moment. I don't know if any others have comments.
Still want this off.
Thank you.
Okay. 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 So I'm going to ask, before we move off of this, I'm assuming that everybody's questions as related to J3 were resolved because nobody has brought that up. So that's that. I did have a question regarding J4, which has to do with the library. And are we, still reducing the 4 hours at the library?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. This accompanies that, and we also have reduction in the material cost as well.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure
Okay.
that if that was still in there. So, thank you. Okay. Anything else for C1? All righty. Thank you very much. Moving on, next up is C2, receive a report from Public Works Department to review lead and copper service line inspections and receive direction for private service line replacement.
Mayor, council member, good afternoon. Ray Silverayes, Director of Public Works. I'm going to be taking you through the latest of the lead and copper rule revision. We're approaching the final stages of this initial phase of the lead copper rule. So let me start out with saying the lead and copper rule revisions were released in January 15, 2021. They were setting new standards to remove harmful lead levels from our drinking water supply. The LCRR went into effect on December 16, 2021 with the compliance date of October 16, 2024, which is it's next month. And in order to comply with that deadline, we have to put together a lead service line inventory and also have some documents for the public to understand what's going on. And so as we approach this deadline, we got together with Friesen Nichols and put together a contract for them to help us reach that deadline. And this applies to all the municipalities and water supply companies. This is new to kind of combat the whole lead situation that happened up in the northeast of our state, of our country here. And so EPA's guiding TCQ to do this, and this is what the deadline they gave us. The deadlines was set, but their EPA is still putting out other mandates. All they wanted us to do for the moment was to come up with the inventory list. And so we have reached that level here with our consultants, as stated earlier, with Friesen Nichols. On November 30th, the EPA came out with the lead copper rule improvements, which they still have not released all the entire details for this improvement, other than to comply with the deadline for the inventory of the service lines. The major goals for the new lead copper rule improvements that will be released next month is to go ahead and start putting together a plan to replace those lines. And so with the deadline coming up on the 16th of 2024, October, to about 2027 is going to be a 3-year window where they're going to go back, because they're all going to get them at the same time from all 2,000 water supply municipalities and other companies at the same time. So they're going to go through it, work with the different municipalities and companies, and figure out, verify some of these or whatever questions they have. So there's still a window of negotiating. This is the first submittal that they will receive from all the cities. In this, for this phase of the LCRR, we were supposed to locate lead service lines, and galvanized requiring replacement lines. And so we did do that with our consultants, and we did find, go here. Actually, let me state also that the public-facing documents are going to include some website data to show all the areas that we have done, some FAQs, and a GIS map showing those areas. All this will be released on that deadline. Also, for the individuals that do have the lead and galvanized water, they will receive mailers from the city letting them know what they have in their water service line. And this will have to be done 30 days after that deadline. So based on our service line survey results on the city side, we didn't have any for the service lines, not the mains, but the service lines going to each of the individuals' meters. We don't have anything identified as something that needs to be mitigated right away. So and then also for the large meters, they require different type of service lines. They use ductile iron pipes, which is not included in this phase. And then we did not have any unknowns during this survey for the city side. On the private side, we did go and we did find, I'll just get down to it, we have the 5 total lines that were found to be galvanized. So these are the galvanized requiring repair. And so they will be submitted to TCQ, and these will be ones in that 3-year window that will need to find a plan of what to do with these 5 individuals, these 5 lots that have this line. If you look at the bottom of the galvanized service lines, there it says null. There were 2 properties that the houses have been demolished. So it's null, it's no longer there. That will be taken care of when they rebuild. So fortunately, with the infill lots, the tear down and build new homes has taken care of some of those issues as well. I would like to say that we're very fortunate to have just the amount of lines that we have here based on what we were initially able to do with Freese and Nichols and our staff as well. Of course, when the results first came out, no city had any idea what it was doing. They were just kind of, as they set the deadline, they were working and improvising and improving rules and what mandates needed to be done. And as I said, the lead and copper rule improvements, the rules haven't even been let out on that one as to what they're going to do. So we didn't know where to start. We didn't know how big of problems we were going to be. And so what we did is we just looked at our pre-1989 database and we went and checked those homes based on what TCQ required us to go do. And that's how we came up with this list. And we narrowed it down by exposing the meters, checking the service, the customer side and the city side to identify what type of pipe, type of material it was. Also in doing those, in developing these plans, the cast iron mains have the potential for lead, and that is something that's been discussed in the previous discussions, and it will be part of our aggressive efforts to make sure we can upgrade those water lines in the future. So we do have one that will be coming up to council for approval in October. It will be on Wet Chapel to replace about 13,000 linear feet of cast iron, and it will be here before you for approval. It is a big part of this initiative. Again, it's not what we're doing here in the 3-year window. So in 2027, when the windows gets closed and everything's decided as to what they're going to do, they are going to have 10 years to get everything into compliance. So at that point is when the clock starts ticking and we got to convert these lines. So here it is. What I'm asking for direction here is, since we identified the 5 service lines, most of them are going to be on the customer side. So what we're looking for is guidance on what should we do with the residents who have this predicament on their hand. 4 of them are residential and 1 of them is a commercial property. But there are 5 altogether that we were able to find. As talking with plumbers, we were looking to restore, replace those lines, upgrade them to the newer pipe material, would be about $15,000 per service lines. And so we're looking for direction from council as to, you know, the program right now states that it would be the burden would be on the resident, but also the city can also take that burden should they wish. Now, I don't see TCQ coming up with any funding mechanisms until 2027, so when the shot clock starts, to provide maybe funding mechanisms for those who don't qualify, because I'm sure there are other municipalities that have much more than 5 service lines that need to be redone. So there may be something in the future. We can wait till then and see what funding opportunities are available out there for the public. But given the low amount of upgrades that we have to do, we bring that here before you. And I wanted to say, I do have with me my Deputy Director of Public Works, Danielle Ricks, and our Utility Compliance Coordinator, Will Hines, who also worked behind the scenes on this project with Freese and Nichols as well, should you have any additional questions beyond the presentation.
Very good. So before I let council ask their questions, I would like to ask a question. And that is this everything in the city right here in this report?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So if you'll recall, last week at that very podium, a resident stood up there and said that we had a situation that was going to cost us $400 million to fix. Is that correct?
No, sir, not on the service lines as far as.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
That is a gross exaggeration. In fact, it was probably a lie at best, because they also said that they had spoken to me in November about it, and I can tell you I haven't spoken to that person in almost a year. So I wasn't going to get into it with them then, but I think what they were trying to do was very irresponsible at the least in terms of trying to scare residents to thinking that we had this $400 million liability facing us when you've pretty much summed it up here at about $75,000 to address this issue.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make absolutely sure that I'm understanding everything correctly.
Absolutely. As far as this phase goes with the service lines, you are correct.
Very good. Okay, Councilman Baird.
Just one thing. I think it's great, this report, but also just to clarify what you just said, in meetings since I have been on council, city staff has said that we had between $200 and $400 million in the future in pipes. We could go back and see that on video. So I'm
Yes.
not taking sides or anything. I just want to clarify. Thank you.
Yes, and I understood that to be other infrastructure needs at around $200 million. I've never heard a $400 million figure, and that's the only reason I brought that up. So I just wanted to be very clear about that. Councilman Reed.
Question on the cast iron that you referenced, the 13,000 linear feet. Is that both private and city side?
So this is city side only. These are our city mains, and these are cast iron. And this is an initiative the city's taking in compliance with what the TCQ is trying to do with EPA, trying to bring everything up to standard. These are aged pipes that are no longer used. If all our pipes that we bid out are PVC, so we're the part of what we're trying to do is build those up too, because they do have the potential to contain lead, but the ones that we have are not mandated to be changed. But we are following along with them as well to get them updated.
Okay, so the 13,000 is not, did you say it's not currently being used at all?
No, it is.
Oh,
It is being used. It does. It's an old aging infrastructure pipe. It's on Webb Chapel, and we do have that. It will come before you next month as a part of a project to get those lines, like we promised that we would start upgrading our water system facilities.
So the question I have, is there any of that project that would be on the private side, or is it all?
Oh, it's all public. It's all city. It's all city's responsibility.
And so we know for certain that it's not going to be on the private side?
Correct. And that one will start in 2027 as bringing us, certifying ourselves to bring our aging infrastructure up to the latest materials.
Okay. I was just thinking, before we discuss how we're going to handle the 15,000 or the service line on private side, want to make sure we didn't have any potential liability or, potential issues with the cast iron on private side as well. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilman Roman?
Thanks for the presentation, Ray. I just want to clarify, will you go back to your previous slide? Okay, so if we were to go ahead and fix the 5 private galvanized service lines that you've listed here, and I think you had mentioned at some point, maybe I saw in the material somewhere that there's some notification requirements. Once that's all taken care of, are there any additional requirements that we need to be aware of to be in compliance with the LCRR?
At the moment, all that TCQ and EPA are requiring is for us to provide this inventory list on the
Okay.
October 16th, and that's what I'm talking about, that 3-year window from now till 2027. But as far as we know, we are in compliance, meeting that deadline, and given the opportunity to figure out how we're going to manage that. Again, the clock won't start until 2027, because presumably they thought a lot of people were going to be. Now, again, we're in a blessed community here, and I think you can see that by the results that were produced. But there may be some other municipalities that are not in a good situation. So it's just giving them some time here and there to work it out.
Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Neal?
So this deadline is October 16th,
Correct.
and do you feel confident we'll meet that deadline?
Yes, we're ready to go. We're just wanting
Okay.
to see how we wanted to
Okay,
work with these 5 remaining ones, and We'll still follow the process, send them the letters, get all that going, and then maybe even get a head start if council should decide to go that direction.
Sure.
And start getting that in place and upgrading those pipelines.
Okay, and you're also confident that that information is going to be posted online at the similar time, or?
Yes, sir. Everything
after?
will be set on October 16th. That's why we hired Freeze and Nichols, our consultant, as well.
Okay.
And they're the ones who have been helping us with the study, getting all the public information stuff ready to go. And I think I'll bring Will. You want to speak a little bit about that, or for Freeze and Nichols, the website?
I'm Will. I'm the Utility Compliance Contract Coordinator. So we've been working with Freese and Nichols. They've done our FAQs that are going on the website. They also have the information that'll go under lead and copper as well. So we have drafts of those. We're working on comments with them. Part of this being tonight to get back with them. We'll have a couple days for turnaround on that, and then I'll be able to get that to Ashton to get on the website.
And so with this website, will we be able to drill down on the various lines that need attention or going to be fixed, or the details around any of that?
As for service
As the
lines,
future?
as for the service lines, it's only these 5. Everything else that you see on that map will be green, which is good.
Okay,
As for city mains, that won't be on that map. It'll just be the service lines.
okay, all right. That's all I have, Mayor, thanks.
Very good, thank you. Councilman Jackson?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ray. So, if I recall back when it was first introduced to me, the whole lead copper revision rule, it was kind of a big deal because we didn't know what we were going to find, right?
Correct.
We didn't really know what to expect. So this sounds like good news,
Yes, sir. it
right?
is.
It's really good news. And so just a little bit about the process. Freese and Nichols did records research. And did they do random site inspections? And you mentioned they went and looked at meters, particularly with these 5, but
So yes, so we took out of the database all the homes that were built pre-1989, narrowed it down to that pool, and then we visually inspected, I believe we visually inspected each meter on the city side and on the customer side to verify what type of material was.
okay.
And that's per TCEQ's approach and recommendations to be in compliance for this inventory list.
And so right now, they just want to know, what do we have?
Correct. So this, like I said earlier, this will be on October 16th. They should be receiving from everybody in the state of Texas,
Right.
all their inventory lists.
So it's going to take them probably quite a bit of time to sift through all of that and sort of determine what's the scope
Yes, sir.
of work that needs to be done, private, public. And at this moment, there are not any funding discussions or proposals to help residents or cities come into compliance with the proposed mandates, which, as you mentioned, continue to change and be updated.
Correct. So back in November 2023, they came up with the lead and copper rule improvements, and that was just a couple months ago. And they still haven't released the final guidelines on that until actually when this goes into compliance. So next month, we're looking forward to those guidelines and what that entails as we approach that 2027 deadline. So yes, we're working. There is a big push and an urgency, as you well know, of all the stuff that's going on to get this lead under control. So it's just a matter of let's just get it out there, get it going, and we'll just figure it out as we go. It seems to be the approach that they're taking.
Okay, very good. I do think it's a bit premature for us to make any decision about, using CIP or tax dollars or whatever to pay for private remediation. Seems to me, and I'm just thinking logically here, that the state is going to probably discuss some type of federal assistance, or because this is going to be a lot of work and some costly work at private residences as well. I'd be concerned also about setting a precedence, because what happened if the equivalent in aluminum wiring kind of mandate came down? If we're going to pay for private residences to remediate galvanized water lines, and why wouldn't the city go in and pay for private homes to get rid of all their aluminum wiring and replace that with copper or whatever amazing new technology that's next? So I'm not ready to say, yeah, I think we should go ahead and pick up the tab for these private, the private scenarios.
Absolutely, and that's a valid question or comment, Because it is the age-old question. I mean, we always are separated at the meter. Back to the main, it's always been the
Right.
city side, and back to the house is always in the public. And that's been one of the biggest pushback to this initiative, to this rule revision, was we're responsible, we're going to, at first, they were thinking they were going to make the cities responsible for it all, but then they scaled back a little bit and started working. So it may be, we just wanted to bring you the results of what what we found during our initial phase here with the LCRR, and bring that here before you, and then we can definitely look at bringing it another time. I believe there will be funding opportunities. They always do
I as
provide
well.
that, and
Yeah.
we can look at that down the road as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think there will be some type of funding assistance made available, and so I think, I feel like we should put that off until, that becomes a little bit more clear to us.
Okay.
Thank you, Ray.
Are there any other things like this on the horizon from the EPA that you know of? Any other water pipes or?
This is the biggest push right now.
Okay.
Typically, they've pretty much settled out, but like I was saying earlier, with the whole, with Jackson and in Michigan as well, all that stuff that happened, there was just been a big buildup of, let's do something about this. So this is the only one that's on the radar so far. I haven't noticed anything else coming down the road.
Okay, so we're not expecting anything else then, at this point?
At this point, yes,
That they've let us know about?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So when this pipe that has been identified was installed, it was legal at the time, or it was allowed, I should say, at the time?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's only because laws have changed, time's gone by, that this has been discovered to be an issue. And so now this material needs to be replaced for
Correct.
public safety.
Correct.
Okay. I was thinking about this because, as I've been told in the past, the city can't spend public money to improve private infrastructure. So have these affected homes been notified of this issue?
Not yet, sir. We were waiting to the compliance day on October 16th to do that.
Okay.
And like I said, it's just, we can look at those and see what we do in the future, but it's just something that we wanted to bring up to you should we decide to go there. But no, they haven't been identified yet.
Okay.
Notified, sorry.
So, and based on your estimated cost of $15,000 per line, I don't know where these homes are, the means of the people that live in these homes, et cetera, et cetera. But that could come as quite a shock to somebody.
Correct.
That they're facing a $15,000 minimum liability, or estimated liability, I should say, to get this fixed. So I would suggest that the council schedule this for a study session. In my mind, I was thinking, okay, since it was once allowed and it's not now, does this warrant some participation from the city on maybe a cost-sharing basis, at least to be discussed? I'm not saying that we go in and replace these lines in full at city expense, but I'm not saying that the resident has to bear the whole burden of the expense either. So I'm trying to find a happy medium to be sensitive to both sides here.
Of course.
And I think that's going to take some time to iron out.
I agree, and like I said, we're always looking for funding opportunities, and I'm sure there's something will come up. I just don't know when that time would be, but it should be in the near future.
Yeah, we'll probably get a grant the day after we pay for everything.
Correct.
Somebody will come up with a grant. But I do think it's worth us having maybe an additional study session at some point in time to further discuss this, if you all are up for it. Okay.
Okay. So I just wanted to show you here, so I got your direction as far as that, and then I guess Will said we'll have this all ready to go in the city's website by that deadline.
Okay.
Meet 'em.
Anything else? Okay, very good.
All right.
Thank you, Ray. Next up is item C3, receive an update from the mayor and council members regarding board liaison information from outside organizations and other meetings attended. Councilman Reed.
Yeah, I just want to go over the monthly report I get from MetroCrest Services. These are services provided to Farmers Branch residents. This is from October 23 to August 24. 4,086 Farmers Branch residents have received services. 3,860 have access to their food pantry for nutritious food. 182 households have been provided financial education to assist with budgets and coaching to reduce debt. 216 residents have received workforce development services to secure a job or find better paying position. 138 families have been provided emergency assistance for rent and utilities for a total of $165,000. So quite a contribution there. 156 children receive SAC summer hunger meals. Upcoming events and programs through December of this year. On September 19th, just a couple of days away, we have North Texas Giving Day. So if you go to that website, you can specifically target MetroCrest Services if you are so inclined to provide a donation to them. Their annual community picnic will be held on September 28th on the MetroCrest Services ground. It's a festival type and atmosphere with games for kids, hot dogs, provided by the Carrollton Farmers Branch Rotary Club, multicultural DJs, nonprofit and for-profit exhibitors under tents, Kona Ice, and much more. They're expecting over 1,000 community members to visit between 10 and 2. Their Empower Gala will be held on November 16th to celebrate MetroCrest's one-year anniversary at their new facility, which, by the way, they have already paid for. They have no debt in regards to that new facility. The MetroCrest Community Job Fair will be held on October 2nd. Approximately 25 hand-selected quality employers will be chosen. Over 300 job seekers are expected to attend. Their annual Thanksgiving food and turkey distribution will occur on Saturday, November 23rd. Over 1,000 families will receive Thanksgiving fixins. And the MetroCrest Holiday Toy and Gift Store will be held December 10th through the 19th. The store is set up in the MetroCrest facility for parents to shop for their children. Over 2,500 children will receive new toys. This is a great volunteer opportunity. If you have any questions, feel free to either visit the facility or go to their website, or feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. I will report that Perla, our Economic Development Director, Sarah Bergman from Planning, myself met with new business that is wanting to locate from Louisville into Farmers Branch on McEwen. We did that on last week and made very good headway there, so things are looking good there. RTC had their meeting last week, and I was not able to attend, but I will get an update from Mayor Babick in regards to that. Myself and Councilman Jackson participated at the City of Grapevine's Grape Fest and their Grape Stomp. We'll talk about that later. The Branch Connection had their game night event on Saturday evening, very well attended. And thank you all, council members, for those who showed, for being there. And then yesterday I met with Dallas Medical Center to get update on the services that they're providing the city, new services that they have been accredited for, and they should be reaching out to fire and EMS shortly to promote all of that. And that is it for that report. Next up.
Mayor, I have something. If
Oh,
that's okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councilman.
Okay. I did want to talk a little bit about an event that happened over the weekend. It was Tacos with a Cop. It was our first one that the city has ever held, and we had a great turnout. And I just wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to Loretta Almanza, who's one of my residents in my district, who was really instrumental in coordinating much of the event and really having the idea and thought behind putting this together. So it was a great event, and I appreciate Roger, Councilman Neal, as well as Councilman Reed for supporting the event and being there. That's it.
Very good, thank you. Next up is item C4, discuss future agenda items. Councilman Roman? Anything for future agenda item?
No.
Thank you. Councilman Neal? Councilman Jackson? Councilman Reed? Councilman Beard? Okay. Well, with that, I will read us into executive session. And the City Council will convene into closed executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.072, real property, Section 551.073, proposed donation, and Section 551.071, consultation with attorney to discuss and deliberate and to receive legal advice from the city attorney regarding a proposed redevelopment and possible land exchange relating to Farmers Branch Elementary School and Cox Park. Item D2 is the City Council will convene in closed executive session pursuant to Section 551.074 personnel of the Texas Government Code to deliberate the appointment of the city's municipal court judge. Item D3, City Council will convene in closed executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.072, real property deliberations to discuss the real property located at 13031, 13025 Denton Drive, and 13105 to 13020 Rossford Street. And D4, the City Council will convene into closed executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.072, to discuss the sale of the real property located 1349 to 1399 Valley View Lane. So that is all for this portion of the meeting. We will meet in the city manager's conference room. Thank you very much.